Going on, guys? I'm here with Veronica White. Veronica is the founder of a new consulting and the PM mastermind on the platform of Skool. She is a recent School Games winner, top 1% earner on the platform, and also like a lot of people say they're the number one platform for blank. But, like you're literally ranked like the number one platform on number one community on the Skool platform for project managers, which is like not very many people get to say that. So, Veronica, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
For sure. This interview is probably going to be a little different. We could talk to you about a lot of cool stuff. I know you crushed on TikTok and making organic content. We could talk to you about community building and the platform of Skool. But what I want to talk about today is in-person events because we recently did an event for your community and some of your premium clients, and it was awesome, absolute blast. And we're seeing an interesting trend right now in like the coaching community industry where as it gets more, AI-fied and as it gets more digital and more people enter into the ecosystem, trust is becoming very important. And like one of the best ways to build trust is through in-person events. So I'm very interested just like to dive into like your why, like why you came to us to want to do an in-person event, like what even sparked that in the first place. So I'm super excited to dive in, and we can actually just start there. Like going back to before we even talked about doing an event, what was
Yeah.
kind of your initial motivation for being like, I built this community, I've built this success, I've gotten people results, like now I want to go do an in-person event for my community.
Yeah. Well, if I'm being fully transparent, I did not want to do an in-person event. Like 100% did not want to do it, was not interested. And so the reason why is because I was having so much anxiety around it. And the only reason I ended up doing it is because twofold. Number one, my community members really wanted it.
Mhm.
They were like, hey, you don't do anything in person. We want to meet you. We want to do like something, hang out, and they had been asking for well over a year. But because I just lacked confidence in trying to execute something like that, it was always an absolute no. And I didn't even consider it as something that we could do until I met you and Ethan at the Austin IRL for Skool, and you guys were telling me, yeah, this is what we do. We put on in real life events. And so, eventually I got to the place where I was like, okay, there's people who specialize in this. They can help me. They can kind of take that anxiety away. And at the same time, I can give my community members what they want which is to just hang out.
That's awesome. I'm actually happy you brought that up because like what we often see is like a lot of people trying to jump the gun on like doing an event. And honestly, like we're not the type of people that would ever like we don't recommend to everybody to go do an in-person event. You gotta kind of get to a certain point where it even makes sense. So it's cool that you like intuitively knew that like I'm not gonna do this until I get like the demand from my community. Like people want it. Which is what we always advise people to do. So it's cool that like you actually like, you did all the necessary steps and got to the point where people wanted to go in person.
Yeah.
What made you like want to bring on a partner to help you with the event? Because a lot of people are like, yeah, I can do this myself. I can figure it out. Like it can't be that hard. Like what made you be like, yeah, I want to do an event now. I'm convinced on that, but I need somebody to come and like help me do it essentially.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's just my experience as a project manager. Like the reason I teach project managers is because I have a background in project management and things always look much simpler on the surface than they actually are, right? It's kind of like the duck theory. When you look at a duck on top of water, it's like cruising really smoothly and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh wow, this duck looks so graceful." And then you peep under the water and they're like going like this all crazy. That's kind of how I view orchestrating something like this. And I just knew I couldn't take it on by myself, and I really wasn't even willing to try. So I trust subject matter experts. That's always what I'm looking for in anything that I try to execute, any team that I try to run on any project. And it was obvious to me that you and Ethan really knew your stuff.
Mhm.
And another thing that I really loved was that you guys were making me feel confident about it. I was completely clueless about throwing an event, but after I talked to you guys, somehow I felt like, oh, maybe I do know something. But that's kind of how we ended up there.
That's awesome. What's funny too is like you absolutely crushed it at the event. And I remember Sean, our chef, he came up and he was like, "How many of these does she do?" I'm like, "This is like literally her first one." He's like, "No," like, he did not believe that it was your first event because of like just how well you like conducted yourself up on stage in front of everybody and like how present you were there with your attendees. So it's like you were born to do in-person events.
Oh,
But
thanks.
also we learned a lot from you too. Like there's a lot of synergies between like the our world of events and like your world of project management. So it was cool to actually see like you would say stuff, like you'd give a term to it. I'm like, oh yeah, like we do that all the time, but like we didn't like define it that way. So it was like a unique event where we actually like took away a lot of learnings too from your world and like what you were doing. Which is really cool. I'm curious, like from your perspective, I know that the event it just wrapped up a few weeks ago, so it's still recent, relatively fresh, but what has that event done for like for you, your brand, your community, your clients? Like what has changed like since you've done that in-person event?
It's been really interesting because I have built my entire business online.
Mhm.
I've never really met many of the people that I've worked with in person. And when you're doing an event like the one that we did, it's it's connecting with people on a much deeper level because we're not just hanging out during the day and then going our separate ways in the evening. It's like, oh no, we're all staying in the same place and we're kind of like cohabitating. And it was really eye-opening because what I think it did at the end of the day is just reinforce my belief in the fact that I'm on the right path and I'm doing the right thing.
Mhm.
I think as a business owner, you always question that. It's like even when the money is good and you're generating revenue, you're always asking yourself, am I giving enough value? Because you never want to feel like, oh, okay, we're making sales, but if that money doesn't translate to value for the client, then what are we actually doing here?
Mhm.
And that's what actually being in person with my people, talking to them, connecting with them, reaffirmed to me is like the value is really there and they're feeling it,
Mhm.
and they feel like they're getting more than what their money is worth, which is even more beautiful. So it was what I needed at the time because you're always kind of asking yourself, is it enough? Are we doing enough? Are we doing the thing that we say that we do? So
Hmm.
yeah.
Totally. Yeah, that's actually that's super cool because I feel like in a world where you run an online business, I've actually a few of our clients have brought this up where you can feel very removed from it. Like you know you're helping people and like you see the results, you see like the people posting in the community, but like just because you're not meeting them, it's like how much of an impact does this actually have? But like seeing your people in person and like every single person, like hearing them talk about like the value they've received from you and like actually like the impact that even like becoming a project manager is going to have on their life and their families and like their like the holistic ripple effect was actually really cool to see in person. So I think that's like one of the huge benefits is like being able to see like physically the impact that you're having, which is really cool. And I know you mentioned like at the very beginning that you had some fear and some anxieties going into the event.
Yeah.
Now that you're on the other side of it, like how did the event go? Like from your perspective, like did it meet your expectations? Did it exceed them? Did it, well, I want to hear from your perspective, like how the event went.
I mean, when we first got there, I was freaking out. I was like, okay, I cannot believe we're doing this. This is totally insane. But the event was better than I even imagined. Right? You're always worried that like it's going to be awkward or that people are going to meet you and they're going to be disappointed. God forbid, they're going to be like, "Oh, this is the weirdo that I met online." And it turns out that they actually are weird. But it went so smoothly and we just had a great time and we connected. We were in a beautiful place. And you and Ethan actually made a huge difference for us because you guys were so involved in the actual like moderation of the conversations that we were having and facilitating the little workshops that we were doing. So it was just amazing. It far exceeded, my expectations and it made me want to do more, which is scary. Because I'm like, oh God, are we going in person?
That's so funny. And we gotta bring it up too, because like we don't shy away from the crazy stuff that happens at events. Like we show up to this place, we drove 90 minutes from the Phoenix airport, and the water doesn't work, the power's out. We like there's just so many crazy things happening at one time, and it's like, well, we're here in the middle of the desert, so we might as well just like hunker down. And honestly, like huge respect to you. Like you were kind of just like, I'm just gonna flow. Like it's like, it's gonna figure itself out. But for those watching, like that's stuff that just happens at events all the time. Like crazy stuff happens, you roll with the punches. But it almost always works itself out. But it was just such a fitting start to the event. And then also like just getting to meet all the attendees and like hearing how they were responding to it. Like it was actually just ended up being like a story, like something that we laughed at a few days later, which was really cool.
Yeah, thank goodness. I was definitely like, what the heck is going on? But I felt better when you guys were like, stuff like this always happens. There's always something. Don't worry, we're gonna get it resolved. I was like, okay, well then I'm just gonna go and eat from the charcuterie board that Sean just put out on the
Yeah,
table.
a little distracting charcuterie board to ease the nerves.
Exactly.
That's awesome. One thing that I respected early on with you from like the first day we had a conversation about doing an event together was like you were so focused on the community. Like a lot of people we talk to are like, okay, how can we make as much money as possible at this event? Like how do we maximize the return on investment? It's like very financially focused and like obviously you're a business owner, so we wanted it to make financial sense, but you were like, my main priority is I just want to provide an amazing experience for my clients, which is like a very rare thing that we hear on those like early discovery calls. Like where do you think that came from? Like where does that like that care for your clients and your community come from?
I think I think that when you run a business that is really impact driven, because I mean, you can sell anything,
Mhm.
right? I could go order a bunch of stuff off Alibaba right now and like start making videos about why you should buy it on TikTok Shop, right? You can sell anything, but when you run an impact driven business where you're really trying to help people navigate these very big, complex, important decisions in their career and in their life, the money is a secondary result that you're looking for,
Mhm.
right? I feel very confident that as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and I'm delivering the value that I'm supposed to deliver and I'm passionate and I'm empathetic and I care about my clients, the money will come.
Mhm.
Right. So I wasn't really worried about that. And I also just knew that if this event didn't go well and people got there and they didn't feel cared for, and they didn't feel kind of like that love and that warmth and that connection, there would be no more in-person events,
Mhm.
right? Like the money wouldn't matter because at that point I've flown people. I mean, we had someone who came all the way from St. Thomas
Yeah,
and
big
flew
travel
all
day.
the yeah, like and flew all the way to Arizona just to attend this event. And it's like if you will travel across the globe to spend time with us, even if it's just a few days, and you don't feel that warmth and that connection, then again, like what are we doing here?
Mm.
Nothing else matters. So that's kind of where I was coming from, and I really appreciated that you guys were so understanding of that because I think a lot of the time people expect you as a business owner to be money driven.
Mhm.
And money is great. I don't want people to think I don't like money. I love it, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
I'm happy to receive more. But there are more important things in a business when you're dealing with people.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes so much sense. I'm really glad you said that too, because that's like one of our biggest values, and honestly, like the core of our philosophy with events is like the attendee experience drives the revenue. Like so many people with events, like everyone's been to an event where they're like they just got pitched the entire time, or like they spent a lot of money on an event and it was like they didn't get any value just to like go scan a QR code and like rush to the back of the room to buy an offer and like that stuff. Like people kind of front that that is the way to do it, but like those events usually don't do very well. Not even mentioning how much it like tarnishes a brand to like kind of do like a rug pull event like that. So when we first started Bullish Events, we're like we are very certain that if you just provide an amazing transformational experience for the attendees, like the yeah, like you just said, the money will follow. And usually we kind of have to like sell people on that, but it was like so cool to like jump on a call and like you were already saying the stuff that we believe. And I was like, oh, this is like a perfect situation. So just had to shout that out. Now, a few more questions I have for you. Something that I like to ask founders on these interviews is as AI continues to like disrupt this industry we're in, like it's kind of becoming like a force to be reckoned with. Like you can't really ignore AI anymore, like the what it's doing to our industry.
Yeah.
I have two questions for you. The first one, I just want to ask from your perspective, like what do you think the future of like the online education industry, the coaching industry, the community industry looks like as AI continues to like develop and progress? I'm curious on your thoughts there.
It's interesting because I think that originally there was this fear that all these AI content creators and AI coaches were going to take over and it was never going to be the same and maybe that is true. Maybe that is what's going to happen. But what I see more and more right now is people really striving for authenticity,
Mm,
right? They're striving for authentic connection. It's like the more real your content appears, the less polished it is, the more people are drawn to it because they're under the assumption that you are a real person and you're not
Mhm.
some form of AI. And so I think that what's going to happen is the opposite of what we think is going to happen. We've already kind of been transitioning out of that like hyper polished, beautiful captions, perfect
Mhm.
lighting type space with content, and you see people going in the opposite way. And I think that will be the same for those in the education space, is like people are going to be more drawn to, folks that they know are real.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think long gone are the days where you just rented a Ferrari and then you stood in front of it and you were like, "You want to be a project manager? Give me $1,000 and I'll show you how to get a Ferrari too." Like
Here in
we're
my garage.
yeah, exactly. Which is a relief, right? Because I mean, I never wanted to be the Ferrari guy, so we're in
Totally.
no hate to the Ferrari folks, but
Well, I think that's why you crushed it on TikTok too. Because like if you go look at like if everyone goes and looks at Veronica's TikTok content, like you're just like you just pull out your phone, you're just filming content and like responding to comments. Like it's never like it's not the studio high production. Like here's 3 ways to become a project manager. Like with all the high production stuff, it's very
yeah,
authentic. Which yeah we're seeing that same trend as well. And it's also like one of the attendees at your event. I think he jokingly said it, but also like maybe not. But he was like, I came to this event because I wanted to make sure that you were like a real person. He's like, I see you every day on a Zoom call. I wanted to make sure that you were actually a real person, which it's like kind of funny now, but who's to say that in like 5 or 10 years, like you're gonna see a video of somebody and be like, I actually have no idea if that's like a real person or like a AI creator. Like who knows where this world's gonna go? It could plateau and we could just stay here for a while, or it could just like go to the moon and we just like don't know what if anything's real and online anymore. So super fascinating. And then
yeah.
the second part of that question I have for you is what role do you see like in-person events playing in that future with like online education, online coaching, AI, authenticity? Like what role do you see in-person events playing in the future of the coaching industry?
I think it's going to play a huge role. And it's so interesting that you would ask that because I feel like over the past week, I've maybe seen at least two, maybe three articles that are talking about, what the future of in-person events are and why they're going to be so big because of AI, because
Mhm.
of comments like what my client said. Mind you, that's somebody who's been in our community much longer than everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, sir, you have been a member of the community. You've been on calls with me. You've done other services with me. And he still wanted to be there in person just to be like, I just want to make sure that you are, in fact, who you say you are. And I think that in and of itself really speaks volumes. People don't want to feel duped.
Mhm.
They don't want to feel scammed. They don't want to feel like they're giving their money to some black hole or some black box and you don't know where it's going and I think the only way that you can really prove that you are in fact who you say you are, that you're a real person, is to be there in
Mhm.
person and show people and connect with people in that way. So I think for people who are not doing in-person events yet, it's only a matter of time before they are forced to go down that road.
Yeah. And like you said, the community will start to like even ask for it too. Um, yeah,
They
no,
won't leave you alone.
yeah. Well, that's so interesting. And like at the end of the day, like people buy from someone they trust.
Yeah.
And early on in like the info days, like back in even the Ferrari days, like because it was so new and fresh, like you saw somebody making a claim. It's like, okay, I trust you. Let me buy this program. I'll do it. But because like there's like so many people in the industry, there are a few bad actors. Not I think there's actually way more good people than bad people in this industry, but a few bad actors have like made it a little, just a little bit of it's kind of broken the trust between like the market and the creators.
Yeah.
I think it's becoming a little bit harder to build trust with people, which is why I think like your strategy of like authentic content does really well because someone sees you for who you are and like, oh yeah, I trust this person. But another way is through the events. Like if you allow people into your world to experience you for who you are, to like meet you, to shake your hand, to like experience that energy, that's like a special kind of trust that like can't be really built anywhere else. Like we're in at the end of the day, like we're humans. It's in our DNA to like connect with people in person. So it's super interesting to see like how that's going to play a role in the future. And then last question I have for you to kind of wrap this up. Let's say a founder's watching this and they are in the same spot you were, like they're kind of convinced on an event, they're ready to do it. but they're super anxious, super scared. Like, what advice do you have for a founder that's about to host their first in-person event for their community?
Oh my goodness, hire somebody who knows what they're doing. Like literally the best investment I could have made was hiring people who knew what they were doing because it's like every little detail was covered. It was taken care of, and even throughout the event, I remember like never having to feel like I was worried about any form of logistics. I was never worried about when the food was coming, did we have gifts for people, who was going to be in what room, what timing is going to work best with blah blah blah. I was never worried about any of that. I actually felt like a member of my own event. I was like, this is kind of lit. Like I'm having a good time. And I think that's what founders fear is that they're going to have to be working out the logistics and the same time having to be the person and the founder
Mm,
that people are there to see. You want to work within your realm of expertise, right? Your realm of expertise is being the founder, is being the person that people want to see. So you do that and you outsource,
mm.
everything else. That's the best advice I could give.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm sure someone watching that's gonna really appreciate it. Well, Veronica, thank you so much for jumping on. I know kind of a unique conversation, but I think after like working with you to do your event, and I'm sure we'll be doing some more in the future. Like it seemed like an awesome opportunity just to talk to you about like the why, because like at the end of the day, like you could just keep doing what you're doing and like keep crushing it online. But
Yeah,
like something kind of told you like, okay, I need to do something in person. You had a calling, so it's cool to kind of unpack that. If anyone's watching this that's interested in project management, Veronica is the go-to. Couldn't recommend her enough. I'll make sure to drop your stuff down in the description. And
awesome.
yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate you for jumping on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. And, shout out to Bullish Events. You guys are amazing. I
Yeah,
appreciate you.